Have you ever looked at a massive, complicated philosophical debate and thought to yourself, is this just innocent but ultimately useless trifling? Well, today we are tackling a question that the legendary philosopher Bertrand Russell noticed a lot of practical people asking. Is philosophy really just hair-splitting nonsense for people with way too much free time? Let's be honest, a lot of us, driven by the immediate demands of business, tech, and just getting through the day, kind of assume that unless a subject puts food on the table or invents a new smartphone, it's basically a waste of time.
But we're going to flip that assumption on its head. In this explainer, we are going to map out exactly why the study of philosophy is far, far more than just some isolated ivory tower exercise. We're going to completely redeem this ancient discipline and show you how it actually operates as the ultimate foundation for how we live, how we work, and how we understand reality today.
To do that, here is our roadmap. First up, the search for wisdom. Second, the branches of philosophy. Third, a way of life. Fourth, the real-world payoff. And finally, fifth, the value of uncertainty.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the search for wisdom, moving from physics to the soul. So, before we layered thousands of years of heavy academic baggage on top of it, philosophy simply came from the ancient Greek words philos, which means love, and sophia, which means wisdom. It's really just a reflection of humanity's natural, totally basic curiosity. But what's actually super fascinating here is that historically speaking, philosophy encompassed pretty much all rational inquiry. Like, if you look at Isaac Newton's groundbreaking 1687 book on gravity, it was literally titled The Mathematical Principles of Natural Philosophy. Studying the stars? That was philosophy too. Over time, as areas like physics or psychology locked down definite answers and scientific methods, they spun off into their own separate things. So philosophy is absolutely not just some niche subject. It is quite literally the original tree from which all of our modern sciences branched off.
Moving on to Section 2, the branches of philosophy, and how they function as tools for reality.
It's wild to see how the traditional branches of this discipline tackle our most pressing modern dilemmas head-on. Take metaphysics, the study of reality. That is exactly the framework we are using right now when we debate whether artificial intelligence could ever actually be conscious. Or axiology, the study of values. We use that every single day when trying to balance urgent climate action against short-term economic growth. Political philosophy. That's what underpins the entire debate over universal basic income. These aren't just dusty old concepts from thousands of years ago. They are the active, critical mental tools we absolutely need to parse the most complex problems of the 21st century.
Take epistemology, for example. It sounds like an intimidating word, right? But it's just the study of knowledge, how we gain it, what justifies our beliefs, and crucially, how we separate true, verified knowledge from mere belief. Now think about our current digital age. In a world where misinformation spreads across the globe in a matter of seconds, epistemology is absolutely vital. It gives us the framework to validate what is actually true amidst a massive sea of algorithmically generated confusion. It is literally the ultimate tool for critical thinking today.
Which brings us to Section 3, a way of life, ancient versus modern.
Now, the way we actually practice philosophy has changed drastically over the centuries. In the ancient Greek model, think of guys like Socrates or the Stoics. Philosophy wasn't just something you casually read in a textbook. It was a comprehensive, lived practice aimed at totally transforming the soul. You didn't just study ethics in a classroom, you had to go out and actively display courage and integrity in the public square. Compare that to modern philosophy. Today, it is morphed into a highly specialized, professionalized academic discipline, housed almost entirely within universities. It tends to focus heavily on theoretical knowledge and narrow subdisciplines, which, honestly, leaves it a bit detached from the everyday ethical development of regular people.
The ancients placed a massive emphasis on this concept called theoria, which was basically a form of deep, attentive seeing or contemplation. To the Greeks, acquiring knowledge was this incredible, transformative encounter that literally aligned your soul with the rational order of the cosmos. It really begs the question, in our modern rush to turn philosophy into a hyper-specialized university department, do we lose something essential? Sure, we gained incredible analytical rigor, no doubt about it, but we may have lost philosophy's original role as a practical, guiding art of living.
Let's shift gears to Section 4, the real-world payoff, where we look at the hard data.
So before we completely write off the discipline as hopelessly trapped in academia and disconnected from the real world, consider this mind-blowing fact. When we look at standard admissions tests for law, business, and graduate schools, philosophy majors uniquely dominate the competition. They're literally the only majors that score 5% or more above the mean on all four of these massive tests, the LSAT, the GMAT, and both sections of the GRE. This proves that the core capacities philosophy builds, stuff like advanced problem solving, Identifying hidden assumptions and synthesizing incredibly complex data are universally valued and highly transferable skills.
To put that into an even sharper perspective, over the past decade, philosophy majors have consistently held the absolute top spot, the highest mean score, for the GRE verbal reasoning section. Studying philosophy forces you to aggressively extract the essential meaning from some of the most dense, complicated texts ever written, and that is a superpower that pays huge dividends, no matter what career path you end up taking.
And it definitely doesn't stop at test scores. While yes, 84% of philosophy PhDs do work in academia, a solid 16% are out there employed in high-level non-academic careers. We're talking 10% in business and industry and 6% in government, hospitals, and nonprofits. From doing intense bioethics consulting in major hospitals to systems programming and corporate management, philosophy provides the rigorous analytical backbone people need to navigate rapidly changing, high-stakes environments. Finally, we reach Section 5, the value of uncertainty, and how it helps us escape the prison. Okay, so we know philosophy gives us the framework for modern problems, and the data clearly shows it builds elite cognitive skills. But why does it truly matter at a macro, deeply human level? For that, we turn back to Bertrand Russell. He noted something brilliant. The man who has no tincture of philosophy goes through life imprisoned in the prejudices derived from common sense, from the habitual beliefs of his age or his nation. Russell is powerfully arguing that without this critical inquiry, we are basically sleepwalking. The world just seems obvious. We just blindly accept the assumptions handed to us by our culture, never realizing that our minds are essentially locked inside a cage of habit.
And here is the beautiful, crazy paradox of the whole thing. The ultimate value of this field isn't actually about handing you definite, unquestionable answers on a silver platter. Its value is largely found in its very uncertainty. By questioning the things we normally take totally for granted, philosophy keeps our sense of wonder alive. It takes the familiar, boring aspects of our daily routines and suddenly shows them in an unfamiliar, fascinating light. It frees us from the arrogance of thinking we already know everything.
Russell explains that a life driven only by base instincts and immediate practical needs is feverish and confined. We get so wrapped up in the constant petty strife of our own personal desires. But through philosophic contemplation, we can step back and impartially view the sheer greatness of the universe. By adapting ourselves to reality, rather than constantly trying to force reality to fit our own tiny egos, our minds are expanded. It makes us, as he beautifully puts it, citizens of the universe, not only of one walled city at war with all the rest. It is the ultimate liberation from our narrow hopes and fears.
So as we've clearly seen, philosophy is definitely not some useless trifling. It's the root of our sciences. It's the vital toolkit for our modern moral dilemmas. It's a profound way of life. It's a proven engine for elite cognitive skills. And most importantly, it's the key to true intellectual freedom. I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to chew on. Are you ready to embrace the uncertain and escape the prison of common sense? Or will you just stay locked inside the assumptions you were handed?